Agile Project Planning, a short and comprehensive guide. Agile project planning is a dynamic and iterative approach to managing projects. It emphasizes flexibility, collaboration, and customer satisfaction. This guide delves into various aspects of Agile project planning, including key considerations for scoping projects, best practices for creating user personas and user stories, important factors when estimating team velocity, the benefits of story mapping, useful estimating techniques, customer-valued prioritization methods, and the Moscow model. Key considerations for scoping an Agile project. Scoping an Agile project involves defining the project's boundaries, goals, and deliverables. It's a crucial step that sets the foundation for the entire project. Here are 5 key considerations. Cone of uncertainty. The cone of uncertainty represents the idea that uncertainty decreases as the project progresses. At the start of a project, there is a high degree of uncertainty about requirements, timelines, and costs. As the project moves forward, this uncertainty diminishes as more information becomes available. Understanding the cone of uncertainty helps project managers and teams make better decisions about planning and risk management. Progressive elaboration. Agile projects use progressive elaboration to refine and detail the project plan as more information becomes available. This iterative process allows teams to adjust their plans based on feedback and changing requirements. Progressive elaboration helps ensure that the project remains aligned with stakeholder needs and expectations. Release planning. Release planning involves defining the schedule for delivering product increments to customers. This planning process includes identifying the features and functionalities to be included in each release, setting release dates, and prioritizing work. Effective release planning ensures that valuable features are delivered to customers promptly, providing opportunities for feedback and continuous improvement. Scope creep. Scope creep refers to the uncontrolled expansion of project scope without corresponding changes in resources, time, or budget. Managing scope creep is essential in Agile projects to ensure that the project stays on track. This involves clear communication with stakeholders, setting realistic expectations, and having a robust change management process in place. Iteration planning. Iteration planning is the process of planning the work to be done in each iteration or sprint. This involves breaking down user stories into tasks, estimating effort, and assigning tasks to team members. Iteration planning ensures that the team has a clear plan for what needs to be accomplished in each iteration, helping to maintain focus and momentum. Best practices for creating user personas. User personas are fictional representations of the target users of a product. They help teams understand user needs, behaviors, and goals, guiding design and development decisions. Here are 4 best practices for creating effective user personas. Include negative personas. Negative personas represent users who are not the target audience for the product. Identifying and understanding negative personas helps teams focus their efforts on the right users and avoid features that do not add value to the target audience. This practice also helps in recognizing potential pitfalls and challenges. Specific personas with defined goals. Specific personas with clear goals provide more actionable insights. These personas should be based on real data and include details such as demographics, job roles, behaviors, motivations, and pain points. Defined goals help teams prioritize features that align with user needs and drive user satisfaction. Create both primary and secondary personas. Differentiating between primary and secondary personas helps teams prioritize design and development efforts. Primary personas represent the main target users, while secondary personas represent other user groups that also use the product but are not the main focus. This differentiation ensures that the product meets the needs of the primary audience while still considering secondary users. Base personas on reality. Grounding personas in real data ensures their accuracy and relevance. This data can be gathered through user research methods such as interviews, surveys, and usability testing. Using real data helps create personas that accurately reflect user needs and behaviors, leading to better design and development decisions. Best practices for formatting user stories. User stories are short, simple descriptions of a feature or functionality written from the user's perspective. They help teams understand what the user needs and why. Here are 5 best practices for formatting user stories. Keep them simple. User stories should be concise and easy to understand. A simple format, such as a user, I want a feature so that I get a benefit, helps ensure clarity and focus. Simple user stories are easier to estimate. Prioritize and implement. Gather feedback. Regular feedback from stakeholders and users helps refine and improve user stories. This feedback can be gathered through reviews, demos, and usability testing. Gathering feedback ensures that user stories remain relevant and aligned with user needs. Provide explanations. Clear explanations and acceptance criteria ensure that everyone understands the user story. Acceptance criteria define the conditions that must be met for the user story to be considered complete. Providing detailed explanations and acceptance criteria helps avoid misunderstandings and ensures that the delivered feature meets user expectations. Experiment. Experimenting with different formats and techniques can help find the best way to communicate user stories. For example, using story maps or user journey maps can provide a visual representation of user stories and their relationships. Experimenting with different approaches helps teams find the most effective way to capture and communicate user requirements. Use storyboards and annotations. Visual aids such as storyboards and annotations can help convey user stories more effectively. Storyboards provide a visual representation of the user experience, showing how the user interacts with the product. Annotations add additional context and details to user stories. Using visual aids helps ensure a shared understanding of user stories among team members. Important considerations for estimating team velocity. Estimating team velocity is crucial for planning and managing Agile projects. Velocity is the amount of work a team can complete in a given iteration or sprint. Here are 5 important considerations for estimating team velocity. Changes in team structure. Changes in the team, such as new team members or changes in roles, can impact velocity. It is important to account for these changes when estimating velocity, as they can affect team dynamics and productivity. Keeping the team structure stable helps maintain consistent velocity estimates. Unpredictable technological complexity. Technological complexity can impact the team's ability to maintain consistent velocity. Unpredictable challenges, such as integrating new technologies or resolving technical debt, can slow down progress. Estimating velocity should account for potential technological complexities and uncertainties. Miscommunication. Miscommunication within the team can lead to misunderstandings and delays, affecting velocity. Clear communication and regular check-ins help ensure that everyone is on the same page and working towards the same goals. Addressing communication issues promptly helps maintain consistent velocity. Changing requirements. Frequent changes in requirements can disrupt the team's workflow and affect velocity. It is important to have a robust change management process in place to manage changes effectively. Estimating velocity should consider the potential impact of changing requirements on the team's ability to deliver. Too much focus on increasing velocity. Overemphasis on increasing velocity can lead to cutting corners and reduced quality. It is important to balance the focus on velocity with a commitment to delivering high-quality work. Estimating velocity should prioritize sustainable and consistent delivery over short-term gains. Benefits of story mapping. Story mapping is a technique that helps teams visualize the user journey and prioritize features. It provides a clear roadmap for planning and organizing work. Here are 5 benefits of using story mapping. Identifies what to build first. Story mapping helps determine the most important features to build initially. By visualizing the user journey, teams can identify the critical features that deliver the most value to users. This prioritization ensures that the team focuses on delivering high-impact features early in the project. Helps in planning releases. Story mapping provides a clear roadmap for planning and organizing releases. By breaking down features into manageable increments, teams can plan releases that deliver valuable features to users incrementally. This approach allows for regular feedback and continuous improvement. Identifies scope. Story mapping clarifies the project scope by organizing and prioritizing user stories. It helps teams understand the overall scope of the project and identify any gaps or missing features. This clarity helps ensure that the project stays on track and meets user expectations. Helps with prioritizing product backlog. Story mapping aids in effectively prioritizing items in the product backlog. By visualizing the user journey, Teams can prioritize user stories based on their importance and impact. This prioritization helps ensure that the most valuable features are delivered first. Supports an iterative approach. Story mapping facilitates an iterative development process by breaking down features into manageable increments. This approach allows teams to deliver value to users incrementally and make adjustments based on feedback. Supporting an iterative approach helps ensure that the project remains aligned with user needs and expectations. Useful estimating techniques for Agile projects. Estimating techniques help teams predict the effort and time required to complete tasks. Here are 5 useful estimating techniques for Agile projects. Affinity estimation. Affinity estimation is a technique where items are grouped based on similarity to estimate effort. Team members categorize user stories or tasks into groups based on their relative size and complexity. This technique helps quickly estimate effort and prioritize work. Relative sizing. Relative sizing involves comparing the size of user stories relative to each other rather than in absolute terms. This technique uses reference stories as benchmarks to estimate the size of other stories. Relative sizing helps ensure consistent and accurate estimates. Story points. Story points are a unit of measure used to estimate the effort required to implement a user story. Teams assign points to user stories based on their complexity, effort, and risk. Story points provide a relative measure of effort and help in planning and prioritizing work. Planning poker. Planning poker is a consensus-based estimation technique where team members use cards to estimate effort. Each team member selects a card representing their estimate, and the team discusses the estimates until a consensus is reached. Planning poker encourages collaboration and helps ensure accurate estimates. Wideband Delphi. The wideband Delphi technique involves multiple rounds of anonymous input from experts to reach a consensus on estimates. Experts provide their estimates independently, and the results are aggregated and shared with the group. The process is repeated until a consensus is reached. Wideband Delphi helps reduce bias and improve the accuracy of estimates. Customer-valued prioritization methods. Prioritizing features based on customer value is crucial for delivering products that meet user needs. Here are 4 customer-valued prioritization methods. Kano analysis. Kano analysis categorizes features based on customer satisfaction. It identifies features that are must-haves, performance enhancers, and delighters. This analysis helps teams prioritize features that have the most significant impact on customer satisfaction. Multivoting. Multivoting is a technique where team members vote on features to prioritize them. Each team member is given a set number of votes to distribute among the features. The features with the most votes are prioritized. Multivoting helps ensure that the team focuses on the most important features. Carver technique. The CARVER technique evaluates features based on criticality, accessibility, return, vulnerability, effect, and recognizability. This method helps teams prioritize features that provide the most value and impact. The CARVER technique provides a comprehensive approach to feature prioritization. 100-point method. The 100-point method involves team members distributing 100 points among features to indicate their importance. Each team member allocates points based on the value they place on each feature. The features with the highest points are prioritized. This method provides a straightforward and democratic approach to prioritization. The Moscow model. The Moscow model is a prioritization technique used to categorize requirements based on their importance. The 4 categories in the Moscow model are: must-have, essential requirements that are critical for the project. These requirements must be included for the project to be considered successful. Must-have requirements are non-negotiable and have the highest priority. Should-have, important requirements that add significant value but are not critical. These requirements are desirable and should be included if possible. Should-have requirements are prioritized after must-have requirements. Could-have, desirable requirements that can improve the project but are not essential. These requirements are nice to have and can be included if there is enough time and resources. Could-have requirements are prioritized after should-have requirements. Won't-have, requirements that are agreed to be excluded in the current scope but may be considered in the future. These requirements are not included in the current project but may be revisited in future iterations or releases. Won't have requirements help manage scope and focus on the most critical features. Conclusion. Agile project planning is a dynamic and iterative approach that emphasizes flexibility, collaboration, and customer satisfaction. By understanding and applying key concepts such as scoping, user personas, user stories, team velocity, story mapping, estimating techniques, prioritization methods, and the Moscow model, teams can effectively manage agile projects and deliver products that meet user needs and expectations.